Midway USA brand product designers have one straightforward goal: develop high-quality, technically sound products and deliver them to customers at reasonable prices. If you are immersed in the shooting sports industry and pay close attention to every single detail, you know our products are built right and stand up to everyday use. Who has shooting mats and range bag systems to hunting clothing and just about everything for the outdoors? Log on and shop 24/7 with super fast shipping. MidwayUSA.com. Hunting is not easy. It never has been. It takes dedication, motivation, a lot of patience, and quality gear. If you manage a food plot, put up stands, or need just one more game camera, we can help at MidwayUSA.com. We opened our doors in 1977 and continue to put customers first by offering super fast, same-day shipping. For just about everything for the outdoors, go to MidwayUSA.com.
Sitting up there jacked with Pepsi.
I'm there for the pack out. You just got to pack me in.
Committed to the boat early on. Like, I love getting close and putting up.
You cover a range of stuff on here too, right? Like,
we call this the THP World Headquarters.
You know, my grandpa Roy Weatherby.
I came into like that golden little pocket where there was like 4 or 5 different bowls. Just.
You're Canadian? We're doing a Canadian podcast.
My name's Douglas Bode.
I'm Robbie Denning.
Roy Candy.
So, lots going on down here. As you guys all know, got Kelowna. It's not as bad as West Kelowna. West Kelowna, they're in bad shape. They're kind of burning to the ground. So, I just want to say, you know, hearts and prayers are going out to everybody out there and everybody who's fighting, helping fight the forest fire. I know those frontline workers, they definitely don't have an easy go right now. And man, you see some of the video and stuff that they're going through, and also people getting kicked out of their house. It's pretty shocking. And like we were talking before I hit record, Tanner, when you're put in that situation, like we weren't far from the evacuation alert line. And, you know, when you're forced into a situation, I know, you know, you're a military guy, Tanner, and like you're put in these situations, and like, obviously there's certain things that in the military that you go through that are nothing like what I'm personally going through right now. But, you know, a lot of people who've lost their homes, who've been evacuated, and, you know, it's a lot to handle. So, you know, again, my, you know, just thoughts are with everybody out there who's lost their house and who's on evac alert, and all the frontline workers out there who are fighting the good fight.
Yeah, I think it's a good reminder how important those people are, and, you know, the volunteer firefighters, and that those departments, and, you know, that whole side of it, and giving back. And hopefully the province is better for it. But, you know, it's tough to see when it's happening now. You know, when the fire's in front of your face, it's pretty hard to grasp everything that's going on across the entire province. It's terrible. Yeah. It's a hard situation.
And 100%. I mean, it's not just, it'd be one thing if it was just Kelowna that was experiencing this, but I mean, you look everywhere. Like, you look to where I'm in Kelowna here. So if you look a little northwest of us, and like the Shuswap and like Kamloops, I mean, they're like, that Shuswap fire, it's rolling through and it's destroying everything. And, you know, even south of us, I know there's a big giant fire in Spokane area. And then you go up even further north. I mean, you know, the Northwest Territories, Yellowknife, I mean, it just right now, it just seems to be everywhere. And then you look even down further south, they got this unprecedented hurricane rolling through and sweeping the coast of California. And it's like, man, right now, Mother Nature, she's pissed off. She's fucking not happy with somebody. Somebody pissed her off. It's fully fucked, man.
Somebody better start apologizing now.
Yeah. Well, even where you are, Pete, how's things out there with those fires?
The Panorama there, we were more concerned about Panorama with that wind shift, because those big winds that kicked up your fire there, they came to us about a day later. And man, there's trees down everywhere, like in town, the whole 9 yards. It was gnarly. And but luckily, for whatever reason, the fire didn't hop the top of the mountain, because it's right on the one side of the mountain. Panorama's right on the other side. So luckily, for whatever reason, it didn't jump over the top, which it should have, but it didn't. So right now they're not too worried about that one. And The other ones that are surrounding us, we got one down by Spill Machine and stuff that's on the right side of the valley, if you want to call it that. Most of the homes are on like the east side, and there's a few farms and all that kind of stuff for sure on the other side. But as of right now, it's staying where it's okay.
Good.
And yeah, we got a couple other fires that are in kind of the next drainage is over, and they're not going to harm. They won't touch us, but man, they're wreaking havoc on the backcountry. That's for sure. They're getting bigger and bigger. And then that new one I told you about, it's kind of in the back of where we were going to hunt, part of it anyway. It went from 43 hectares in one day to the next day. It was almost 800, just less than 24 hours, because it's steep country out there. And it's, what do you do?
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. You get like the dry conditions that we've had here in British Columbia mixed with the topography, like just the crazy mountainous steep hills, and then you get that wind, and it's just like it's a perfect storm. Yeah, it's just horrible.
Well, and I wonder if like, and maybe it'll be a good wake up call for other places around the world or whatever. Like where we are in BC, like we talk about on the hunting side all the time, but so much of this area is so inaccessible, or just really in such remote. Like there's one logging road going into an area or whatever it is. Like, how do you fight a fire in there when you're basically bushwhacking through burn down or blow down and all this other stuff? Like we're in a it's a good reminder about the kind of province we live in and how remote we actually are up here, even though we think, like so I'm here in Prince George, and I think it's a big city. To me, it's a big city. Well, it's not. It's like 70,000 people in the middle of northern BC, right? But it's a good reminder for sure on that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And that, and it's not like the majority, like our population is like our province is kind of unique. And like for the American listeners who don't understand how the landscape works, is like we have a province that is basically the size of like probably Washington, Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming combined in terms of square kilometers. And then you put that, and then we have 4 million people, but they're in a place that's the tiniest little corner of the province. And so the rest of it is, like you said, I mean, it's untouched, it's remote. And like you live in Prince George, which is kind of like, if you were just to put a pin mark on the center of the province, is basically where that is, a little further south, but it's 70,000 people, which is a lot. Like Prince George is a big town for northern British Columbia. And but you get outside of that, I mean, you get Fort St. John, who has a little more, but there's so much landscape that's just untouched by people. And like how you get into those areas, and what do? You can't do anything. It's just let it burn.
And honestly, I think one of the main reasons I think that we're getting these huge fires and stuff, people will say global warming, all that kind of stuff, but one of the main reasons, and I'm going to speak for where I am here because I see it firsthand, it's because for the last 50 years, anytime a fire is sparked up, you just put it out right away, and you put it out right away. Well, over that 50 years, you get all those branches, you get all that ground fuel just accumulating on the ground, because it's never burnt off naturally, and that's Mother Nature's natural cycle. And all of a sudden, when it builds up enough and you get a fire in there, it's so big and hot, it doesn't matter what you throw at it. You're not stopping it. It's just going to go. But it sets up a nice fire guard when you look into the future for the next time. Yes, another fire may roll through there, but it's going to be a lot smaller, and it's going to affect a lot less people, just because, everything's been burnt up for the most part. So there's a huge factor there too.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I was talking to a buddy, and it's like, well, it's a hard way for wild sheep to get all of its prescribed burns done in 1 year. But I mean, in reality, this is stuff that they've been talking about for 8, 9, 10 years to try and get done. And it's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. So, but I mean, hopefully I know there's a lot of people right now that are, the fires are interrupting their hunt. And we were kind of talking to where we're kind of laughing about it there. And I mean, does this affect your background? I mean, in the big scheme of things, who gives a shit if your hunt plans have to change, or if your hunt's not going to work out this year, if you finally got that ALAH and now you can't go because there's a fire. I mean, in reality, it's pretty minor in comparison to what's going on. But that area that you have your drop heat, is it affected by fire?
Yep. Yeah, I've got 2 of those fires are in there for sure right now, and I might be able to hunt a little part of it. But yeah, for the most part, it's more, I could have gone back into that area yesterday to set cameras, but why?
Yeah.
It's, something jumps from 40 some hectares to 700 and something. And I have to go through another fire, the edge of the, not where it's actually burning, but, in a pinch point area where the other big fire that's been burning for a month now, it's right there. And it's just like, is it really worth it? I'd rather go in cold, go in a month when my holidays are planned in there anyway. Hopefully there's been a bunch of rain, the cool weather's coming, and that'll help things out. But I'd much rather go back there at that point than take a risk now, because it's not worth it.
Yeah, for sure. So switching gears here a little bit, Tanner, what's new with Frontiersman gear? I know you've been on the show, man, probably closing in on 2 years ago now. So it's been a while. We never got a chance to, I know we talked back and forth about coming on the show, and life kind of got lifey. I know you're extremely busy. You had a lot of new and exciting stuff going on, not with just like yourself personally and the business. So just kind of bring us up to speed with what's new with you.
Yeah, thanks. No, it's always fun coming on here. It was weird when I was looking through my emails and seeing the last time that you sent podcast requests. I'm like, man, that was a long time ago. Yeah, a lot has happened.
Yeah.
So since last time I was on here, we bought some property out here in north of Prince George. We've been basically for the last 16, 18 months just full out trying to build a new production shop out here. So we've set the groundwork to build like a 1,900 square foot production shop with a storefront, lounge, and then with an actual full scale, good way to ramp up production facility in the back. And yeah, that's been the number one goal here, and it's been interesting for sure. But we're rolling, and we've got just trying to meet demand by hiring employees and hiring the right guys, and then training new guys is the biggest problem, is trying to find new apprentices to try and train under the same craft that we do. But that's where we're going. It's been a crazy blow up, it seems, in the last couple of years, and it's I feel grateful for it. I feel lucky. I don't know how the hell it happens sometimes, but I mean, I'm not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth. I'm gonna take it and just run with it. So it's been amazing, man. It's looking good. Future's bright up here for sure.
It's hard work, and that's the thing, is like success doesn't happen overnight. It compounds, and it's like takes years and years and years of like hard work. And like, it's funny, a lot of people will look at where you are now and where you've built a company, and like personally where you are, and financially and all this stuff where you are. And like, yeah, obviously you still have goals and you want to get better. And like, as things evolve, like you'll have a goal that's here, but once you reach it, then you set a goal for here. And then like somebody looking at where you are right now, they're like, oh man, like that, he's got it made, and like everything just kind of fell in line for him. They don't see all the hard work that happened behind the scenes. And like, even before you started Frontiersman Gear, like the work put into like just like everything, like learning the process of building knives, because it's not like you just woke up one day and you're like, oh shit, I'm going to start a knife company and I have no idea how to build a fucking knife. And you know what I mean? So I mean, the accolades definitely come from hard work, and you've definitely earned it.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. And it'll never end. Like, I know the kind of person that I am. If it's, if I have any time, it's just going to get filled with something else anyways. So it works out well because I just put it towards the business, and then I'll just keep pushing this shit and keeping keeping fuel on the fire and just pushing as hard as I can. But it's good. We're shooting to be we wanted to have the storefront side of it open for hunting season this year. Didn't work out with the construction side. We got some delays, and then low manpower. So that's what it is when you're building yourself. But basically we're just going to run through this winter and finish up the storefront, and then have a nice grand opening in the spring, and and then it'll be boots on the ground after that with just it'll be a good ramp up. Like, I look at the growth that's happened in the last 4 years and the growth that I want to happen and is going to happen in the next like 6 to 12 months. And I'm like, well, it's going to be a whole nother new business in the next 12 months. So it's good.
It gets exciting for sure. And that's a good time to open too. I feel, like that's right in time for spring bear. And seems like the last couple of years, spring bear is getting more and more traction, especially up here in British Columbia. I mean, like, we have a great opportunity to hunt bears in BC. I mean, number one, there's a ton of them, right? We get 2 tags. So I mean, I know for myself, I get pretty excited. I mean, when you're sitting around and you're locked up all winter and you haven't been able to hunt, and then all of a sudden April 1st rolls around, it gets pretty exciting for the opportunity to get out and get back in the backcountry and start chasing critters again. I know. So that's a good time to open.
Yeah, I think so. It'll be fun.
Okay, well, the reason we brought you on the show was it is, I guess, 10 days now. This is August 20th that we're recording. So we got elk open September 1st, and now for the archery, I guess, I'm not sure about your region up there. Does it open? What's the elk season up there where you are, Tanner?
Here in Prince George, I don't hunt locally here, which is terrible because I know people travel from all over to come hunt Prince George, but I leave here as soon as September 1st hits. I believe there's an early season archery, like September 1st to the 9th or whatever that season is.
Right.
Same as me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's that season here. I don't know. I don't shoot a stick and string, so I don't really follow that too much, but you guys have more dedication than I do on that side. I hate the fucking things.
Yeah, no, I know that. It was funny. I remember I posted a comment. I had Wardo from Beyond the Kill over one day and we were messing around with his bow, and I was checking the poundage on that stupid cheap Amazon made in China piece of junk fucking
Oh man.
Bow, the poundage scale I had, the metal piece pulled out of the plastic. And like, I remember your comedy, like, this is a good reminder why you shouldn't shoot those fucking things that stick to a rifle. So I love it. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's walk through, like, let's talk a little bit about like, cause I mean, obviously the people who follow you, they know you're a well-established and well-accomplished elk killer. Now we've talked about it in this show already. And like, for the people who are listening that are outside of BC is a hard place to hunt elk. Like, it is. I mean, it's a hard place to navigate. We were talking earlier about just how remote a lot of BC is. It's a hard place to hunt elk. Low populations. The elk, just for me and my experiences, they don't react and they don't act the same as they do in some of those places where the landscape's a little different. There's more elk. So walk us through, like, let's just talk a little bit about like your elk season and kind of like what you kind of like how you gear up for it and like the areas you like to hunt, and just kind of like just walk us through what your typical elk hunt looks like.
Well, I think I'm a lot different than most people across this, or at least most people that I've talked to across this. I run cameras, but it's not like, not to pattern animals or do anything like that. I just think it's cool and I like to see what kind of stumbles in during a year. So I'm not putting cameras out during the year. I hunt basically, you draw a line at Prince George, and most, like, I'd say 97% of my hunting in the whole year is north of Prince George. So that's the timber or the country that we're hunting is all up here, and just obscenely thick timber, nasty shit, which I mean, most of the province is. And then up here is just that diamond willow, nasty underbrush crap. So my season, like, I'm lucky enough that I've done enough hunting and scouting that I have a few different spots that are pretty consistent. I know animals are going to be in quite often. So I've got one spot that I'll usually go to, but my season will start just, I'm a big fan of hunting pockets and drainages and that kind of thing. So I'll just head into an area usually I'll never go in the day before season. I always go in the day of season, and then start working an area, and then seeing just, between, which you guys have talked about lots, and I was kind of diving into some of your guys' other podcasts, or just that you've done recently, like with Jordan and, Travis, and really established elk guys. But yeah, it's the same. So it's just hunting like where there's water, vegetation, and it changes so much in this province. Elk are such a finicky animal as it is. And then, like you said, you add in such low populations. I don't know. I'm a real fan of just like looking at elk like they're pocketed animals. So trying to find where they are in that map at that time, and then just hunting them. And as they change throughout the season is a huge thing for myself too. So my year will change, like where I'm, depending on where the water is. Like, I know in one of my spots, this isn't explaining a lot for anybody else, so sorry about this, but like in one of my spots, I'll hunt. I have basically like a 5 kilometer stretch, and it slopes down to where a river is. and I'll hunt the top side like September 1st, and I can basically account for every 4 days those elk are moving a kilometer down that drainage. And you can just, I could be hunting that same spot 5 days later and there's no elk there, and they're slowly moving their way down, following that vegetation or whatever the hell it is, and work their way down. So the elk hunting that I do is super, it's not pretty. It's just super dynamic and just trying to chase after those bulls. And I don't worry a lot on the calling side. I don't worry about a lot on the other side. It's just, for me, it's just locating those elk and then just hammering the ground until you basically are within that 100-yard threshold that you can start playing with them. Because that's the other thing. I love the information that guys in the States do, like Jay Scott and all these guys. Like, they're geniuses when it comes to the elk side. I'd say 5% of it is applicable up here to BC. So it's an interesting province to hunt elk for sure.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. And like, a lot of BC elk hunting, it's not sexy, and like a lot of your strategies and stuff you use and like you've evolved and adapted, they're not sexy, but they're effective for killing elk in BC. And like, for most of the province, you have that 6-point rule, which makes it extremely harder. There's been many times where, man, if we didn't have that 6-point rule and it was a 5, I'd have a lot more elk hanging on my wall. But I mean, it is what it is, and they put those rules in place for a reason. So, but yeah, like, you're right, man. Like, you get into areas where it's thick and nasty, and like, yeah, it makes for an extremely difficult hunt. It's challenging, and it's pretty impressive though, that you can consistently pull elk out of the backcountry year after year. So obviously what you're doing is effective, and I like how you talk about elk in different, like, every 4 days they're moving down, and like, but that's something that you develop over years of like failing and like, okay, well, what the hell's going on here? Why are they not here? They were just here. And like, oh, they're down here. And like, that process that's trial error process. And I think that hunting elk in BC, I think that's what a lot of guys are missing. And I know they have that rule of for it's going to take you 10 years to kill one elk. But I mean, in BC, it seems like it's, obviously guys, they don't want to wait that long. They're trying to absorb as much information as they can, and they're taking it all in. Like you said, there's way more information out there about hunting elk in south of the border of us, which is completely different. And I know from the guests we have, like, even hunting elk in the northern part of the States is different from hunting elk in the southern part. And we had Jermaine Hodge on a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about hunting in northern Idaho and how his vision, he might get elk and you might not be able to see him, till they get to like 20-30 yards. And I was like, buddy, you come up north, like where we are, it's thicker than that. But you go up even north, like even further north where you hunt, Tanner, and it's like 20 feet. It ain't 20 yards, it's 20 feet. Like, there's a big difference. And like, it's extremely challenging. And it's interesting that you don't use any calls. So like, kind of, are you waiting for them? Are you doing a lot of listening? Are you, how do you know if there's elk in there?
Yeah, so I'll go into a spot and I'll still call. It's just so low on my priority list for what I'm doing. Like, so I'm using how I see it is basically, so like, I'll go into a spot and I'd say 90% of what I'm doing is just location bugle, whether you're any time that I'm like moving into a location. So a spot that I go into often, it's like a 6-7K hike in. I got to get into kind of where I set up camp and I start hunting.
Wow,
that
dude,
whole
that's
location,
a long way. Like,
like
your 7K is a lot further than my 7K down here. Like, I hunt elk in the southern part of the province, and like, it's pretty chill. Like, I grew up in the northern part of the province, right? I grew up on the coast, Prince Rupert. And so like, I know what hard ass freaking coastal shit looks like. Like, it's musky. And then not only is it like soft and it's hard to navigate. It's just steep and it's just nasty. So like, coming down here, it's like, to me, it's easy. It's like, oh, well, it's not easy, but it's like, well, it's not nearly anything like it is up where you are, the northern part. So like, 7K for you is a lot different than 7K for me down here. Just to put some validity on what you're explaining is 7K here. So
Well, yeah, and like just to note, that 7K takes you like with a 40-pound pack. You're just rolling in for a couple days. You've got like water, food, whatever. I treat it all borderline like a mountain hunt where you're like going into a spot. It takes you about 3 hours to get in there. Like it's nasty. So you can imagine, with an elk rack on your back getting out of there, it's you're contemplating putting a bullet in the back of your head by the end of it a lot of the times.
You really love it when you're willing to do that.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so whenever I'm like moving through an area, whatever that is, I'll just I'm just location bugling. That's all I'm doing, and never doing it a lot. Every like max, I'm going to do it every half an hour, 45 minutes, and then only when I'm moving to a new location. If I'm ever sitting, I'm never going to do that. And then as I'm moving, I'm using calls like cow calls or whatever it is, or just like young bull kind of grunts and that kind of stuff. Just any vocals to try and half-ass mask my movements as I'm moving through, just to make sure that if I do bump into a bull, it doesn't think I'm just a bear tromping through the bush coming at it. So that's more what my game is. And then it's just finding for myself where I hunt, like I was saying, it's small pockets where I know they're not leaving. So I just want to go in there and find their transient trails, find where they're getting water, and then I'm just going to roll those trails as much as I can. And I'm moving lots, like I'm moving all day. I'm not stopping. I'm not often you're going to find me catching a nap midday. I'm just going to keep walking those trails. Hey man, different locations, maybe nap and work some spots. And I mean, I know a lot of dudes that
Pete is never ever gonna live that down, ever.
Never gonna nap again.
Yeah.
Jesus
I have one fucking nap. One nap.
9 days in a row.
Man,
Can't even have one nap.
You know how the saying goes: you could build a million bridges, but you suck one dick, you're not known as a bridge builder.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, well, I'll just basically roll on those transient trails, keep location bugling. If something chirps off, I'll go after. But so often, like I'd say probably out of the last 10 bulls that I've not killed myself, but been, whether it was helping on or whatever it is, I'd say 6 of them didn't even call at all. You're just bumping into them, they're rolling into they're hearing you moving or your cow calls, and they just kind of silent come in. And that's where I talk about, especially in the northern part of BC, it's not pretty. Like, I mean, you can ask Yonke on that hunt that I had him on last year. We were in there 4 days, and 5 days before that, I had Kennedy, my girlfriend, in there, and we had 6 bulls going the whole day. It was like the elk hunter's dream. There was that's the shit that you live for a decade trying to get, and it was just absolutely amazing. 4 days later, Yonke and the boys come in there, and not a peep. We shoot that bull, he's still in here bugle that whole time, and it's like, that's that's where it's not pretty. It's not this the classic in the US or so many other spots where it's just this beautiful go back and forth.
Textbooks,
that ain't happening very often. So
no,
and I find it so I'm rolling those transient trails, I'm finding fresh sign, and I'm just covering ground, moving after them and trying to find, because so often I find, especially where I'm hunting, it's if it's a herd, if I call and that, like, let's say a herd bull or a bigger bull that has cows hears me, they're going to fuck off. They're not going to stick around anyways. Even if they call back to you, it's going to be, some roundup chuckles. They're pulling their cows, and you think that you're playing with them. You're going to put your pack down. Oh yeah, I'm on them now. And I'm going to start calling back forth. And that bull's calling back. Oh yeah. Well, no, it's a little bit farther away. It's a little bit farther away. Well, that bull's gone. And you're just sitting there. You're doing it for Instagram at that point. That's all you're doing. And so you have to be in close on these critters. That's really what I found. So that's why I'm always trying to move, and then I'll try and get in close. If I bump my way basically by luck into a herd, or I'm on tracks and following tracks, then then you can start playing and be aggressive, and then you can start playing with a bull. Or what I found really often is where I've had lots of luck in the past, just like rolling these transit trails, you location bugle, you find the like rough direction a bull is, and I'm just going to hike there until I'm like, okay, I think he might be 400 yards. I'm just going to hike 400 fucking yards and be like, all right, I think this is it. Hit another location bugle, and then he's 30 yards right there, right? And you're just ripping back and forth with them. So it's like I said, I play I like to I like how I elk hunt because it's a lot different than a lot of people,
Mhm.
but it's it's not good for
effective.
TV.
And the thing is, we talk to guys like you, and we had Jordo on, and like I know a lot of successful elk hunters, and you talk to them, and like the consensus is the same about hunting in BC, is that it's not going to be those chuckling back and bugling back and forth encounters where they're going to come in from 200 yards away. No, it's like you have to grind. You're going to have to navigate some nasty ass shit. You got to get in deep. You got to get in close. And then you got to challenge bugle when you're in tight. Because like you said, those bulls, if they feel any pressure, whether it's doesn't matter what it is, another bull, a predator, anything, they're just going to round up their crew and they're going to beat a lot of there no matter what. Like they don't need to stick around. He's like, I already have my broads here. Why am I going to stick around and like let you threaten them, whatever it is you are? I'm just going to get out of here.
And we have such a like an undulating topography. Most of the spots that you're hunting elk, whether it's river breaks or hard cliffs or whatever it is, like down where you guys are at, from what I've seen, or like I said, it's where we're at, which is like peaks, drainages, river breaks, that they can go 500 yards and then they're in a total different area where there's no bulls around. They're not on a transit area anymore, and they can just play by themselves. They don't have to go 5 kilometers. So they feel zero pressure about doing that.
Yeah, and they're that's the thing, is those animals, they know how to navigate that terrain. They know how to use it for their advantage. I mean, it's what they do. They live there. And so like for us trying to track them down, like even if they move 500 yards, like their 500 yards is a lot different than our 500 yards. And like, talk about like, you must put a lot of miles on just explaining like just how you hunt, and like you just covering ground, looking for trails, and like, man, those must be some long ass days that you're in there.
Yeah, it's I try and like I shoot for like 10 to 12 kilometers a day.
Jesus.
Just like, but it's not like it's not a I say that, but that's like running in a track 10 kilometers a lot of the times, where it's like a little 4K loop where you're like from camp, I'm only going 3 or 4K, I'm just doing this huge arc going through an area, and I'm just like, I know where that, like, and I'll fucking hammer this, all your listeners would be swearing at me by the end, but I know where that pocket is, and I'm just gonna like circle that whole pocket, and then I'm gonna like cut straight through it, and I'm gonna like run whatever trails there are, and I'm just like, when I look at my tracking app or anything like that on where I went, it looks like I'm deranged. I'm just like going wherever, doubling back on myself. It's just like Jesus. But I mean, and you got to find what works for yourself. Like some people that doesn't work, right? And in some areas that doesn't work.
Yeah. And I think that is a huge part of not only like elk hunting in general, elk hunting in BC, or any hunting in BC, because like we just talked about, like depending on what region you hunt in, like where Pete is, it's a lot different from where I am, and both of us are a lot different from you are. And like you have to find what works for you, and not only just like works for your area, but works for you personally. Because like depending on like your physical abilities, or like just there's other factors that makes you different from me and me different from Pete. And so you have to figure out what works for you and what works for the area that you're hunting in. And it's different for everybody, and it's different for every region. And you only kind of, you have to get out and do it, no matter how much information you listen to, and like how much you can, how many podcasts you listen to, how many YouTube videos you can watch. Yeah, that stuff is helpful, and it kind of, gives you some hints and some pointers, but you especially elk hunting, you're not like, you have to expect that every time you go out, you're not going to be a successful elk hunting, no matter how much information you listen to. So you have to go out and just take the challenges. Every challenge is different. Just take all those challenges and just keep applying them. Just keep put in the years, put in the time, because then over time you develop a system like you did, which is like, you learned that system by trial and error. And like, I've watched so many videos and heard so many podcasts about elk hunting, but I've never heard that approach to it. So it just goes to show you that, you have to, if you're going to be a successful elk hunter, you're going to have to be willing, number one, to put in the time and put in the effort, and just accept the fact that it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take years and years and years and years and years to kind of master and get it down.
Well, and I mean, you wouldn't go on a sheep hunt and then come out of it without a sheep and be like for the first time sheep hunt and be like, oh darn. Anybody that comes from a first time sheep hunt, they're like, oh, it was so cool, I learned a lot. Maybe I saw a sheep, maybe I didn't. it was just awesome. I'm happy to learn it. Guys go sheep hunting 4, 5, 6 years. And then, by the 7th year, they're a little like, all right, I want to kill a fucking sheep here.
Yeah.
But, for a long period, they don't care. A guy goes elk hunting once, they're out there 4 days, and they're like, well, where are these elk? What's going on? They're like that tourist in Jasper going, why don't you let the bears out? I want to see them, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, it's a total different game. Like, they're still animals. It's no different. You got to learn them and hunt them the same way you hunt anything else.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I think, like, the guys that I know that are super, super successful, there's a guy here in Prince George. He's like not on Instagram, anything. His name's Kevin. And that dude kills a lot of elk. He's been doing it for a long fucking time. And he hunts, let's say, 30 days for elk every single year. I've been doing it. I shot my first elk, which was on a farmer's field. It was not an elk hunt. It was a late season elk harvest on a field, because that's all it was. And I shot that when I was 15, and I started elk hunting the year after that. I took September's off. Mom, don't let your kids grow up to be an elk hunter. But it's so I started elk hunting after that. I took off September every single year, and it was 30 days every year. I was elk hunting. And there was years in there I wasn't successful. So I did 30 days that year and didn't kill an elk. Man, those were some hard, October, November, you're contemplating, you get a successful sheep guy that's killed 10 sheep. Well, I can put him, he knows where he's going to go. He knows how to hunt those sheep. He knows how to kill those sheep is the biggest thing. I don't. There's a lot of people that don't. So it's the same thing in my mind. It's just so much time is needed to do it. Yeah, elk hunting is an interesting game, and it's for a lot of the successful guys here in BC have been doing it for a really long time, and Instagram doesn't show that. It doesn't show the 10 years of them growing up, and then their dad showing them elk hunting, or they had a hunting mentor that helped them and showed them elk hunting. Like, it doesn't show all that shit. So
exactly. And the best hunters in the world aren't on Instagram. They're not on YouTube. They're not on TV shows. They're guys who just have regular jobs, and they go out hunting after work every weekend. They just put the time in year after year after year after year, and they figured out ways by themselves through trial and error what works and what doesn't work. And that works for the region they're in. And you're right, man. I know the same guys, obviously in a different area, but there's guys out there that just get it done year in, year out. But one thing they have in common is just the constant grind, and they just don't quit. They just have that mentality, and they just love elk hunting. But that's the reason they're successful.
Yeah. And it's definitely one of those things where you have to fail before you start succeeding. I don't care if you get one off your first year because of luck or anything, but that consistency, that all comes from failing and being like, okay, what did I do wrong there? Or maybe you didn't do anything wrong. Maybe shit just went sideways, and there's nothing you can do, a wind shift or anything, but you start learning that, and you start learning your topography where, all right, by 11 o'clock, always on this mountainside here, the wind shifts from this direction to this direction. So I either have to be at point A by this time, and then, you have to adjust your hunt. But that's most definitely from getting blown out many times.
And like my story, my introduction to elk hunting follows that path. It was like my very first elk I killed. It happened a couple days in, and I was able to kill an elk. And I was like, oh man, like, this isn't that hard. Well, I think it was like, it took me almost 4 years to kill another one. You know what I mean? So it's like, like the sun's going to shine on a dog's ass every once in a while. Like, you're going to get lucky. And, you hear stories of guys shooting a 350, 380 inch bull off the road. It does happen. But if you're going to be successful year in, year out, you got to put in the work. Like, you got to, like you said, Pete, you got to experience those failures and those, those unsuccessful seasons, because that's where you learn. Like, that you got to take that, you got to go through that whole process.
And you know what? And I don't think people realize that either. Like, I fuck up all the time still in the elk woods. Like, I make the stupidest mistakes. Shit that I'm like, oh man, is this your first time chasing after a bull? Like, that is dumb. Why'd you do that? Like, nothing changes out there. It really doesn't. You just, you add a little, one little more tool in the toolbox. That's all it is. Maybe you're going to remember it. Maybe you're going to get so jacked up because the bull is screaming at you from 40 yards that you take that toolbox and you just dump it in the ditch and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. And you run right towards it. And maybe you should, maybe you don't. Like, I mean, shit happens sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it's true, man. And like, yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I still, like, you figure be like, I remember like not just elk hunting in general, or just like, fuck, man, to be honest, like, even like, who we're kidding, like, even like day-to-day life, I do shit and I'm like, really? Fuck, man, I know better than that. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, come on. Like, I look at my kids sometimes with consternation and be like, what the hell's wrong with you? But like, sometimes I definitely need to look in the mirror sometimes and be like, yeah, dude, like, you're better than that. Come on.
Well, I find a lot too, if you're on a week-long hunt, let's say, by day 5, by day 6, you're fatigued. You might be in shape, like you can go, you got it in the tank, but mentally, you by that 6th afternoon or whatever, you're like, why am I crashing through the bush like this? Like, why am I not slowing down? And kind of the most basic of things that you're very diligent on the first couple of days, and all of a sudden, that fatigue starts setting in, and you just start going for a walk instead of a hunt, and it's like do. And, your partner's looking at you like you're freaking crazy, and be like, dude, we're not sightseeing right now.
Yeah.
This is for real.
Totally, honestly. And that's, it's a good point, because it was about, let's say 3 maybe 4 years ago, I quit doing extended elk trips. I don't anymore. All of my trips, if I'm going into an area, it's 4 days. 4 days, right. I'm pulling myself out of there. And even if I go home for a night, it doesn't matter, or a couple of days, whatever it is.
Reset. Yeah.
That's it. And it makes such a big difference. Like you said, Pete, it's just like, it's the mental fatigue. I don't care if you're David Goggins following motherfucker, what you are, it does not matter. You are going to go in there and you're going to get complacent and you're going to do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
I shot a bull once completely by luck, but it was like day 8 of a hunt back when we used to do these long, like 2-week trips, and we had like huge groups of guys. We get like 6-7 dudes and go hammer these different areas. And I was calling a bull back and forth. Bull went quiet. I'm like, oh, whatever. He's way away. Not a big deal. It's like 11 o'clock. Have lunch. And I'm like, I called some more, didn't hear anything back. I'm like, in my head, for some reason, by that time, I'm like, oh yeah, bull's gone. We fucked this one up again. This is so stupid, whatever. And I go down and I'm taking a shit. And I have my rifle leaning against, and I shot that bull from where I was sitting there taking a shit. Because it came in quiet all the way off that damn mountain. And thank God I had my rifle with me, because it walked out the one clear right in front of me. My pants are down. I'm like, oh, well, Jesus. And just got lucky. But I mean, yeah, you just start making stupid mistakes.
Oh man, and you're totally right. And it's like, it's always those times when you're like, you get complacent and you get lazy and you get like, you're fatigued, you're mentally exhausted, or you're like calorie deprived, and then you just let one little thing slip. And then like for me, I've done it before, where you're like, I didn't dial my sight back to 20 yards, right? And then you're like, and you just forget about it. And like I've had animals there, and you come to full draw and you're like, oh shit. You just realize, because you can tell where your pin is, that ain't right. That, you're not shooting, like, this isn't right. Then you have to draw down and you have to adjust it. And then the animal's gone. Right. And those little tiny steps that you forget to take because you're just exhausted, tired, or it's been a long trip, or like you've had a lot of failures. But like you said, if you can go back and just reset, and that's why I find the same thing now with my hunting is like, if you do a 3-day trip, those 3 days are going to be so much more effective. If you come back and you reset and then you go for another 3 days, than just going for an extended long 6 or 7 day trip. You're going to have, in my experience anyway, you're going to have, you're going to have better chances. You're going to be more, you'd be more aware. You'd be better mentally prepared, physically prepared, than you would on like just trying to drag it out, doing those hardcore ass long 14-day challenges, or, even like 7-day challenge. 14 days is a long day or a long trip. But yeah, I agree with you 100% that it's good to reset and just rethink your hunt and just let your body recuperate.
Well, and a big thing that I found, which just in the last couple of years since I did that, is you're out there, you should be having fun. You should have a smile on your face.
100%.
It doesn't matter if you bust a bull or whatever it is. honestly, I have made some of the stupidest mistakes out there. I lost a huge bowl like what was it, 2 years ago? It was like lightly raining. I had my rain jacket on. I was just sitting in my own shit, and I'm standing there in a wallow, which was I should have known so much better. The wallow is fresh, man. Like it literally just happened, but it's lightly raining. My hood up on my rain jacket and it's just hammering on there so you can hear it. I'm eating a Mars bar and I'm looking at my phone trying to figure out where this bowl might have went. So dumb, I didn't even make a call when I was in there. Well, of course, the bull is 5 feet away. So I turned my head up and this bull swung its head over. And it's, one of the bigger bulls I've ever seen in the piece. Probably like a great like 340 to 340 to 350 bull. Like, yeah, 5 yards away, right in this thick timber. Watch me walk into the wall, watch me do all this stuff, and it busts and it sounds like a dude's fucking running through the bush with a baseball bat, just hammering against trees. And I'm just like, man, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But all I was getting at was, yeah, you should be out there having fun. Like, and if you're not, and that's the biggest thing, having those 4-day trips, you're still like, you're not too down on yourself by the end of it. You're still having fun. Cause I've done the 7 days and you're just like in a crappy mood by the end of it. And it's like, hey, why are you out there, man? Like it's
yeah. And that's the reality of those long trips is like, yeah, I mean, like we've all seen it and like we've all heard of it. And like maybe it's happened where like, yeah, you go on a 10-day trip, whatever you're chasing, and then like you pound and punch through and push through it and just like keep going. And then like on the last light of day 10, it happens. Like, yeah, that happens, right? That the fairy tale stuff that happened. But in reality is like, you have to go on a lot of 10-day trips and you have to have a lot of shitty 7, 8, 9, 10 days before that happens. And like, yeah, man, for me, where I'm at now, I'd rather just do a 3-day trip or even like a trip over the weekend. And like, then you come back all week, you get time, shit doesn't fall apart at home. I find I'm just, if everything at home is locked down and, at work's locked down, and I'm just a better hunter, I'm more focused, and I seem like I can just concentrate more on what I'm doing and what I need to get done rather than like 5 days in be like, oh man, I wonder how things are going at home. I wonder what's going on at work. And like, oh, what's, is this okay? Is that okay? I just seem way more focused when I concentrate on those smaller hunts.
Yeah, this year, like I've got my 2 weeks off for the main moose hunt, getting away from elk a bit, but I try to do this anyway, like depending on whether I'm hunting elk or moose. We do have like 2 solid weeks planned out, but this year I planned it so right in the middle of that, it's one of our kids' birthdays. So it's like, all right, dead smack in the middle, haul the trailer back to town, get reset, have a nice shower, night sleep, some family time, catch up with everybody, and then head back out the next day. No rush to be there, daybreak. The other 2 guys will be out there or whatever in camp doing their thing. And it's just, it's a crazy reset, even if it is just for a night. It makes a big difference.
Yeah,
it's huge. It really is. And I think the whole Instagram side has like pushed everybody, especially in the last like year, into this just like ridiculous side of like the Joe Rogan, David Goggins. I need sock. I need it to, I want to kick my own ass and all that stuff. And we've taken it way past what is, I think, even beneficial to most people. Like, I like
hey,
sock.
Man, and
I like.
I'm going to be honest. Like maybe I'm a little guilty of that too, right? Like, just like, but you're right. It's like having that mindset. That. Yeah, like, yeah, you're 100% right.
Well, and I mean, man, I'm came from the like my military brain still clicks in, and it's still like that's like I'm like, oh, okay, I'm up at 4. I need to get my workout in, and I want to be like in the shop working by 6 o'clock and do all this stuff, and then and burnout is a reality, and then you get burnout, and then you're like, all right, maybe I can I'm gonna give myself a couple extra hours of sleep or whatever it is. Like it's
and that's a process that I'm slowly learning. Like I was training for this 100, this ultra marathon, and like I just kept like I was having some pain and like training weightlifting legs twice a week and running 60 to 80K a week, and I just kept going and going and going, and I'd feel pain, and I was just like, yeah, I just got to go, and like you have this mindset of like, yeah, I just got to push through it, I just got to keep going, and then I had to start developing this hip pain, and I kept doing it. I was like, fuck it, you just got to push through the pain, push through pain. And then like one morning I got up and I couldn't walk. And I was like, what the fuck? And like, that was 2 months ago, and I still have agonizing hip pain. And it was like, man, like, you gotta be smarter, man. You gotta, like, and now I've kind of rethought, like, I still love to get up. I still love to do my workouts early. And that's not mostly just because that's the best time for me personally to do it, because my family's still sleeping. The craziness of work hasn't started yet. So that's a time where I can actually get uninterrupted work and just focus on, like, hey, I could probably get a workout done in an hour if I do it in the morning. If I don't do it in the morning, it's going to take me 2 hours, because I'm going to be on the phone every 5 fucking minutes, or the kids are going to need something, you're just getting pulled every which way. So I still do it that way, but I definitely have to be more conscious and, like, appreciate the time of, like, yeah, like, your body does need rest. You do need to be smarter with your training program. You do need help in certain areas. Like, you have to listen to smart content, not just like, oh yeah, be hardcore content.
I got something for you guys to stop the burnout. Listen up, have a nap. Works.
Hey man, I know it. Doing it this year.
Yeah, everybody loves an afternoon nap. Even the animals, they have a little nap too in the afternoons. You're good.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna tell you, Pete, I'm not much of a napper. I can't nap. If I'm tired, I would be tired all day. But we'll leave the napping to you. Wow. So moving off, we're kind of rolling through time here, Tanner. Moving off, Alec, talk a little bit about your caribou hunt last year.
Oh, it was a dream, man. It's
epic.
If I could give, I would give up. If I could just do that hunt every single year for the rest, I would honestly be very, very fucking tempted just to give everything else up. It was so headed north on an LEH draw for caribou, and got super lucky with that draw. I don't think that draw is going to be around very much longer. I don't think caribou is going to be around, if we're being honest. Like, we all know the direction that's going. I think the
caribou hunting. Hopefully the animals are still there.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Be clear about that. So I don't feel too bad saying this. I don't feel like I'm ruining anything, because anybody that knows where I was up in Atlin on this caribou tag. I don't feel like I'm ruining anything. If you're mad about it, fucking send me a DM. I don't care. It's so went up to Atlin and got into just some of the most beautiful country ever. Like, I mean, there's all these spots across BC that a person, we use hunting as an excuse to go travel in. Well, I mean, I wish I was smart enough to take time off in June and actually go travel and see some of these places, because it is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. It's just, so we head up to Atlin, totally on just a pin drop on a map, dive into the area that we want to go into. They have no motor vehicle restrictions there, which is super weird. So you can drive right up into the Alpine. And I mean,
really?
You're talking,
crazy.
Yeah, and it is weird. Like, I mean, we're up there caribou hunting, and you have guys on motorbikes busting through caribou herds because they're coming up and they're driving their motorbikes up to the top peaks where there's sheep. It's the weirdest thing.
Crazy.
Like, wild. But anyways, basically, like, the first day when we get in there into the spot that we want to get to, we know the camp on where we're going to camp. Old mining road from aerial maps. Blow over the road, and here's, we start the trip with 60 caribou standing right in front of us, and you're just like, all right, I know how this trip is going to go. So we slotted 10 days to try and find a really, really nice bull. And actually, we ended up, that first herd that we saw had the bull that I ended up shooting, but had this bull. And I was lucky enough to I made a stalk on him, blew that stalk, totally fucked it up. Like I do lots of the time, just totally fucked it up. Watch this bull crest over the horizon, think I'll never see the thing again.
Yeah.
Super old, nice bull. And just, it was one of those trips where the positive side, we had the camera guy that was with us, Matt, absolute beauty. He's just like, you couldn't get that guy down if you tried. Just an awesome guy. He's happy the whole time. I'm happy. We're seeing caribou every day. We're hunting this long, like 8 kilometer long drainage, and you can glass from any there's peaks on the whole kind of well, on the whole rim of it, basically separated like 2 or 3 exit spots. So you can just like hike anywhere you want and you're glassing down into it. And the topography is so cool with like waist high buckbrush and taller buckbrush that caribou are just kind of like they'll disappear and pop back up and then they disappear again. So you're watching areas all day and you're just seeing new caribou come up. And yeah, it was really, it's hard to even kind of grasp or comprehend. And I watch video back sometimes, look at photos, and it's none of it does it justice, but it's just one of those wild areas where we saw, I'd say 150 caribou in that trip, some really, really good bulls. There was bulls in the distance that we never even went to look at. My bull ended up coming back. That big bull that I busted on the first morning came back on day 4, and I got lucky and ended up stalking in on him and his herd, and ended up killing him there. And I couldn't be any happier.
How far was he when you shot him?
He was 260. So on camera it looks at about 40 yards, but it was at it was 260. So the first time I actually got in on him was at 160 or 160 to 180. I've been trying to hunt with this lever gun, this Winchester.
That's why I asked, because I
knew,
knew, and anybody who's seen that film, and I'll put a link up to that film in the show notes, but I know you're hunting with a lever, and you're right, it does. And when you get the camera and you're like, holy Christ, that thing is right there. But then just from like when it pans out and the angle moves, you could tell it is a lot further.
Yeah, so actually that first time that I busted on, or that we got in on that bull, he busted me as I was like, they're switched on in that really close stuff. And if they're not, the thing that I found is those caribou, which is so cool, if they're not spooked, they'll walk right up to you. And if they're spooked, they're just like really dialed in. So basically I was coming up the first time, I kind of crawled down to the creek, came up this little washout, and he was on me like as soon as I came up. So when I laid down and range, he's 160 yards. And with that lever gun through that Skinner sight, it's just like a ghost ring peep. And I'm looking at it. It's just like a blob of color. And you're like, man, I know there's like, I'm behind a shoulder here, but am I going to shoot the right bull? Is it the wrong bull? So that's how it didn't work out the first time. And then, so the second time crawl up, and we keep having, like, we had him at 400 yards. And we're laying down on this hill, watching him in the distance. And he's coming up this slope, and they're just feeding and bedding and kind of just slowly moving themselves around. And man, I was tempted just to grab Jeff's rifle right there and kill it all scenic out on the field. I'm like, no, I'm gonna do it. I'm like, no, I'm gonna do it with the lever gun. Gonna do it with the lever gun. Jeff screamed at me, "You fucking idiot! What are you doing? This is like I'm doing a bow, but dumber, and this is so stupid." And so, anyways, we crawl down. They roll over the hill. We crawl down, and there's just like a long plateau, but it's like knee-high grass. Well, you don't think much of it, especially with a scoped rifle. You can always find something in there to shoot at. Well, as soon as you get that stupid ghost ring, that Skinner sight, I'm like, we're rolling up on this bull, and he's at maybe 300, and then we get in close, and he's at 2, and then he's kind of like moving his way through, and where we can get on him, he keeps just fluctuating through there. And I'm pretty good, like I'm confident out to 200 yards with that thing, now confident about to 300 with that thing, which is as far as I would push that damn thing. But yeah, it's all good. I could see the bull. I even like a kneel down, lay down, and I could see that bull. And then you get behind that Skinner, and it's just nothing. And you're just like, God damn. So played back and forth, and then ended up just grabbing Jeff's rifle anyways and proved him right and sucked that one up. But I couldn't watch that bull walk away another time.
Amazing.
So
what an amazing bull.
That's very nice.
It was super cool. Yeah, I feel lucky, man. It's, to kill a truly old animal like that. Like I talk about wanting to hunt and kill big elk or whatever it is. Well, the truth is, to kill an old animal like that, I mean, his one shovel was snapped off, the other shovel was rounded right off. He had no bone density left to him. Like he had weird parts on his antler that were just like you could break off with your finger. And his whole one bezel was snapped off, tips broke off everywhere. And yeah, it's just, you walk up to an animal like that, no teeth left in him, he's just like haggard. You're like, man, I feel lucky. Like it's not an experience a lot of people do. And it actually, it's interesting because had a couple bios and some people reach out that manage that area and manage some other areas after that and ask the question, like, is how they're managing that on LEH. Is that how you would like it? Do you think that's proper? And it got me thinking lots. And I can't get it out of my head now. Like, would a more I'm never one, and there's going to be a lot of people that hate this, but I'm never one to give the government more power and stuff, but would putting, have more areas that you don't hunt every year, harder to draw whatever it is, and have a better hunting opportunity. Is that something that more people would be interested in? I can tell you right now, after the way that hunt went, I would, not go hunt caribou again for 5 years if I know on the 6th year I can pull that tag again and be able to go have that level. And that it was just such an incredible hunt.
Yeah,
I think that'd be the hardest thing to get people on board with. I totally agree with what you're saying, but unfortunately we know our system and that, and
absolutely
there's no guarantee that you'd ever get it again per se.
Yeah,
I do understand what you're saying, and if you could go up, and not guaranteeing you'd harvest one, but guaranteeing you that you're going to have action all around you, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
well,
sure.
and
it's a debatable topic. I know I feel that way even with like the mule deer and the elk down here, and it's like, it's open. I just come across so many elk that are 5 points that are just laying there, and like 3 point. We have a 4 point restriction on mule deer. Coming across 3 point mule deer in 4 point season, and and even like the moose, that spike fork moose, and it's like you come across so many 3x3 moose that are just dumped because they get excited and people would rather shoot and kill the wrong animal than miss the opportunity of killing the right animal. It's just horrible. So you have those where you know what, maybe they should get rid of the moose hunt, put it all on LEH and just give out more of them. Or, with the elk, same thing, put the elk, open it for any bull, but just put it on LEH, or same with the mule deer. But, that's the question, is like, will you get it back? Or if you give control to somebody else, are they going to give you control back? And like, it's such the way we manage our wildlife in this province, it's just such a, who knows what's going on or where it's going to go.
And it would take, to do it properly would not be to put these animals all on LEH. It would take like a full restructure of the entire wildlife system here in BC, absolutely. Which I don't think is even a bad thing. I think it probably is needed at this point, but it's, I'm not one to say just throw it on LEH. Definitely not saying that, but I just know that, this hunting for opportunity versus quality is just, it's not, managing for opportunity versus quality is not, I don't think it's a topic that a person could rattle on and on and on about and end up pissing everybody off on both sides. So it's interesting. I just know that, man, that caribou hunt was one for the books. It was just, no doubt. It was unreal.
You guys had a wicked trip. I think Jeff got a moose too, didn't he? So.
Yeah, he did. So we end up shooting this caribou for anybody that doesn't know the story. So we end up shooting this caribou, and it's like, you always kill an elk and it's 35 degrees or it's last light or it's something shitty about it, right? And you're just like doing a pack out at night in the heat, whatever. We kill this bull, breeze is coming in, it's like 10 o'clock. I'm like, oh, we have all day. I can see camp down there. What a difference, right? Like, just life is so good. So we're like, well, we're just going to watch for bears. That's the only worry. So we break this thing down. We go back because we rolled up there without packs because we were just like running after these things. Go back, get packs, come back, do the whole, get hero photos and do that, all that crap, do the video side, pack this bull out in one trip because we didn't want to go back up the hill. So it was a gagger. It sucked. Like one of the worst packouts I've done. Get to the bottom, Jeff's laying on his back. We had just dumped both the packs. I'm sitting on the tailgate. We're just like, can't even get a beer in us. We're just drinking water at this point. Like, you're rough when. And Jeff rolls over and he's like, there's a moose in camp. I'm like, yeah, okay, fuck it, whatever, man. I like look over and he's like, no, man, there's a fucking moose in camp. I look over. There's this bull. Well, you almost couldn't even tell it was a bull at that point because kind of flatter antlers and how he was standing. But yeah, he's standing on the road right beside camp. And I'm like, on the truck quad trail right beside camp. I'm like, what the fuck? So I put glass up and he's a smaller bull. And I'm like, and Jeff the whole time, he just wanted to get a bull or wanted to get a moose, wanted to get a moose, wanted to get a moose. I'm like, Jeff, he's not huge. Do you want him? Well, that little Italian fucker's already laying down. He's got his red plug. He's shelling around. Like, give me a range. I'm like, all right, give him a range on it to 360. And yeah, the moose took one step into the 100 yards below camp, took one step into the buck brush. And Jeff put one behind the shoulder. That moose dropped right where it was. I'm like, I guess we got a caribou and a moose. Right on.
No
So,
doubt.
that's
And
awesome.
for a guy like Jeff, who's built a reputation of doing like these hard ass sheep hunts, like 100-day sheep hunts and like winter goat hunts and doing that, and then to just drop an animal right on the road, he must have just been like, you know what, this is way fucking easier than I've been doing it the other way.
I've been doing it wrong all this time.
And the stupidest part of all that is the hardest thing about that moose was trying to find the fucking thing after we shot it. It took one step off the road. That's it. Took one step off the road. It took us an hour and a half to find this thing. We drove up and down that road. We walked it back and forth. I'm like, I swear, this brush, it was ready. It only took one step. I'm like, did it get up and run? Did we not see it? What it is? But that buckbrush is just like, there's so many of those deep dips, and that buckbrush is so thick. That moose dropped, and the buckbrush literally just like engulfed it and sucked it up. And you don't think a moose can go missing, but yeah, we went back and forth, and it was like right at last night. I'm like, oh, this is bad. And then all of a sudden, look over, and here's this moose laying like 4 feet from the road. I'm like, oh god, we're dumb. Jesus.
Yeah, looking too far.
Oh, first and only time I've ever been able to hook the truck up to an animal and just drag him up, drove him right up to camp. Like there's shots, and there's the caped out caribou with all the meat, this moose laying whole, and the wall tent right behind it. I'm like, yeah, life's good, man.
Doesn't get any easier than that,
especially the moose.
Yeah, no doubt.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for coming on the show, buddy. It's always a chat. It's always fun when you stop by and you chat. I know we talk every once in a while on the phone and through text, but not enough, obviously. So just remind everyone where they can check out what you got going on and get to the webpage and all that.
So our website is frontiersmangear.ca. All the social that we have, we only have Instagram. We've been banned off Facebook too many times. They won't let us back. So just at Frontiersman Gear on Instagram. And I don't really run my personal page on Instagram, just that work one. And, that's where you can find all of our stuff, from knives to leather goods to everything else that we're doing, or, all this stupid crap that we get up to in the fall. But no, I really appreciate you having me on. And, you guys are always putting out such good content and awesome stuff. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys get up to this year. Kevin, that post you have of, walking through that with that massive wide thick elk that you have keeps scrolling up on my Instagram, and you're driving me nuts right now. I just want to go elk hunting. So it's, I
talk about motivation right there.
Exactly.
That was a story. And we've already talked about it on the show, so I won't replay it, but that was just one of those instances where I was in the right time in the right place. But just same scenario as your bull. It's just a really old bull. When I got to it, had no teeth, and like I actually sent a tooth away to get it aged. But some of the guys that are talking to, they figured that thing was like 14 years old, which is pretty remarkable. So, but okay, man, thanks, and let's do it again. Best of luck to you in the season. I know you're going to do good. You got anything to add, Pete?
Oh, just thanks again. It was nice meeting you, and
really nice meeting you, man.
Good luck this year. Can't wait to see what you bring on your end as well.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, it's look forward to you guys.
Okay, thanks a lot. See you guys. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning into the Focus Hunting Podcast, coming at you as part of the Waypoint Outdoor Collective. I want to take a quick sec and make a huge shout out and say thanks to the sponsors of this show, starting with BC's premier archery shop, Hardcore Archery, located right here in Kelowna, British Columbia. AKU boots, they've been supporting the show for a while now. Both Pete and I, we've been running these boots for well over a year. Hunting in BC, we face probably the harshest backcountry environment in the world. We got deserts, Rocky Mountain, extreme coastlines, you name it. And these are the only boots that have lasted me more than one hunting season. So, they're definitely worth the investment. You owe it to your feet to use AKU boots. Use promo code FOCUS and get 15% off, right? They're probably going to cringe because I always pronounce the name wrong, but it is what it is. Onyx Maps, now available in Canada. Stay tuned, guys. We've partnered up with Onyx, and we're going to be getting you guys some more information on Onyx and their mapping system for Canada. For those of you in the US, you've already got access to it and most likely been using the app. Pete and I got early access to this app, and to be honest, it rocks. But like I said, we're going to get you more information on that, and we're going to be able to get you guys a little bit of discount. So lastly, if you guys could please leave a rating and review on whatever platform you're listening, we really appreciate the support. Love you guys. Until next time. Thanks.
Friends of NRA is your chance to support our Second Amendment rights and preserve America's hunting traditions. Join Friends of NRA at one of our 600 exciting events nationwide. From games to auctions and exclusive firearms, Friends of NRA events are your chance to support a cause you care about while having a great time with patriots in your community. Whether you're a seasoned shooter, an avid hunter or outdoorsman, or passionate about freedom, there's a place for you within Friends of NRA. Visit friendsofnra.org to find an event near you. Stand up for freedom with the Friends of NRA.
From dawn to dusk and every moment in between, Captain Justin Leake and Meredith McCord have an exciting adventure waiting in the water. Catch Chasing the Sun, Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern on Waypoint TV. Waypoint TV, your destination for outdoor entertainment.